on out there, right? In internet, all of you might be, getting a lot of things. The real learning can come only through discussion and dialogue. So I would really look forward to the interactions. I was told the audience is from 18 years to 25. So I can see some senior people. I'm assuming their age, they are at heart, they are 18. So it will be lovely to interact with all of you. Very diverse crowd today. So I'm going to talk about public leadership, self-leadership, which is a crucial step for public leadership. In terms of topics, I hope to cover defining public leadership itself. What does public leadership mean? What is the overview of self-leadership? So you might have heard this term, but what does it mean? Leadership in VUCA world. I'm not sure how many of you have heard the term VUCA, but if you're not, maybe that's one point of learning of today. Then we'll talk about leadership journey, and then we'll talk about what we have learned from our Rashtram's 5-year journey, right from the Vision India Foundation, which was founded in 2014, to youth building for nation building, and what we have learned through that journey and how we are applying that for Rashtram School of Public Leadership. I hope learning outcomes to be that by end of this session you would know what does a public leadership mean, what are the characteristics of a public leadership, some success stories and blind spots. That's very important because leadership is a very responsible role and there are ups and downs. So how can we be aware of the blind spots? Importance, as we mentioned, leadership in 21st century. You might have heard a lot about 21st century and how it is different from all the earlier centuries, and what is this big deal about 21st century. And like I mentioned, I would be very happy by end of this session if you go away with 2 new ideas and at least 1 point of reflection. That I would call a success of the session. So let's hope that we get something out of this collectively. I also hope to learn a lot from all of you. So let's start with public leader. How do you define a public leader? What comes to your mind when you say public leader? And like I said, I would really like the session to be interactive, and maybe Umang or Viral, if you can help me with if someone's putting something in chat, or if someone is raising their hand, to talk about what do they understand from public leadership. Okay. Anyone? I'm not able to see anything on the chat. If there is something happening there, Viral. No? People are not yet awake. Viral, what is this? You should have sent them some strong coffee dose. Okay, so let me, I'm assuming there's no one who can think of something. So let's start with what is a popular definition of a leader itself, right? If you say leader, we say someone who leads, right? Someone who has a vision. He sees something that others can't see. He inspires, he or she inspires. He or she has followers, has charisma, is a great orator, always delivers results, can be dependent on, generally successful, name and fame, a lot of Twitter and, Facebook followers, right? That's how we say, okay, someone who's really considered successful. And I was looking at the expectations from the session, and some of people have said, learn leadership so that you can perform powerful roles or powerful positions, right? So this is a general popular definition of leader. Now let's come to some stories. How many of you have, how many of you know any of these names? I hope to get some answers this time around.
Yeah, one is Sandeep Maheshwari.
Okay.
Kalam sir. And many more. Viral.
Sandeep Maheshwari, familiar name. Who else? Anybody can talk about Sandeep Maheshwari? What does he do? What is
Vikas Khanna.
That is a chef. Yeah, like the bottom middle one.
Yeah.
We have Sushma Swaraj.
Sushma Swaraj, the ex
okay.
foreign minister.
Then we have Indira Nui.
Okay, good. I like women talking about women names. So that's nice to know. You're tracking the women leaders.
And
Anybody
Abdul
else?
Kalam ji.
Okay, sure. Okay. So anybody knows why the chef is there? See, all these are professionals, right? Abdul Kalam ji was president. Before that, he was a scientist, very active in our space and journey in ISRO. Indra Nooyi, obviously known as a CEO for PepsiCo, but also known for her leadership development, especially focused on women. Anybody knows about why this chef is there on the screen as a leadership example? Does anybody know his name?
Sanjay Khanna.
He is Vikas Khanna.
Vikas Khanna.
Vikas
Vikas
Khanna.
Khanna.
Anybody knows why was he in news recently? Okay, so let me talk about Sandeep Maheshwari. Somebody said, anybody wants to talk about Sandeep Maheshwari?
He is a motivational speaker.
Okay. And what does he do? Is that what he gets his bread and butter from, or rosy roti from? Or does
No, he has some website like photography where he have made a Limca book of record.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody knows the advocates here? Not popular people, right? Advocates.
He's Harish Salva.
Harish Salve. Okay. What did he do?
He's a pretty renowned Supreme Court justice now, even taking up cases in the International Court of Justice.
Okay. Any recent success for him in the International Court of Justice? Is somebody Googling while we speak? I hope not.
If I'm not wrong, he's taking up cases at for Kulbhushan Yadav also, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Kulbhushan Jadhav.
Yeah, Kulbhushan Yadav. Okay, so I'm glad. So the reason I put this slide is, it's profession and leadership. So each one of them have a different profession, but they have done something in the space of public leadership, right? So Indra Nooyi, as I said, is the CEO. The bottom right corner is Dr. Pankaj Chaturvedi. Vikas Khanna is the chef. So he's based in New York, and recently he was in big news for the COVID help. He actually distributed almost around 25 million food packets and dry ration and on the people on the streets, orphanages, and a lot of laborers, migrant workers, and so on. It is very interesting. One of his statements went viral when he was interviewed on the American television about his work, and people said, "Oh, so you know hunger, because you're from India." And he said, "No, I don't know hunger from India. I actually learned hunger in New York. In India, I was actually very well fed because the langar, in the gurudwaras, he's brought up in Amritsar, and he said nobody went hungry, so langar is to take care. But in my early struggling days as a chef, when I was in New York, I really learned hunger, and that's why I want to give back. Now that I have made it well in my life, I want to give back to my country." So he's done a lot of good work across, the country, almost 45 cities, it's done relief work during COVID times. Sandeep Maheshwari is an entrepreneur. He does motivational talking. He's got some 5-6 million followers. Very, very inspiring personality. He does this pro bono. He doesn't expect any money out of it. He gets called for a lot of functions and inaugurations, and he politely says no. He does it only for his own volition, and he does it without expecting anything. So his bread and butter, his rosy roti comes from his business, whereas he does this motivational speaker because he himself has a very inspiring journey, starting with his first public speech, which went completely unsuccessful. He really couldn't speak after one statement, and from that, how he has really turned around and become such an inspiring youth, motivational speaker. Indra Nooyi, we all know, PepsiCo CEO, started with a middle-class family in India and then really struggled her way through to the top job, which is generally reserved for men. And now, after her, stepping down from the CEO role, she's also doing a lot of good work for the society. Harish Salve, we talk about Kulbhushan Jadhav case with Pakistan. He was on the death sentence for spying. And Harish Salve, as we said, is an accomplished advocate, and he charges 10 lakh per hearing in the court. But for Kulbhushan Jadhav's case, Sushma Swaraj asked him how much, what are your fees? And he said 1 rupee.
1
And
rupee.
there's a very 1 rupee, yes. And there's a very emotional story that when he won the case and everybody was happy, he was Kudbushi Yadav was released, came back. Sushma Swaraj said, "Okay, please come to collect your fees, of 1 rupee." And unfortunately, she died the next day. So it's a very emotional moment for him. So profession and leadership. So you can have your own profession. You can be a chef. You can be a doctor. Dr. Pankaj Chaturvedi, one of his statement went kind of viral where he said the highest form of professionalism is to eliminate your profession itself. So as a doctor, my job is, I shouldn't say that I'm doing seva when I treat patients. I should be actually looking at eliminating diseases. So a lot of his focus is on prevention rather than curing. So that is the highest form of professionalism as he defines it. He actually defined the difference between karma and kriya. So he says, as doctor, a lot of times people think if I'm serving the patients or I'm treating the patients, I'm doing my karma. But he says that is the kriya. Most of the species do that, for survival. But when you actually do something which will benefit someone beyond you, so cause beyond yourself, that is something which is so very, very inspiring. Thinking about prevention as a doctor, when he is saying eliminating my job is what is this thing. So by doing your profession across the board, even as a politician, Sushma Swaraj, you might have seen so many articles got written. It's very rare for a politician to be loved so much. She was the most loved politician for a long time, 7 times MP, 3 times MLA, youngest cabinet minister at the age of 25, Supreme Court lawyer. It's very, very inspiring. And as an external affairs minister, she also has a lot of stories of compassion, where she has rescued people stuck in different countries and really has shown leadership and compassion in the role. So that's about profession and leadership. What about a lot of people say, oh, that's fine, but I have problems in my life. There's a personal tragedy. So we also have stories of pain and leadership, right? How many of these figures are known to you? And I won't be surprised if not many are known, but I expect at least 1 or 2. Anybody?
The last person in pink is that Gulabo, and I guess the pink. I don't remember.
Okay.
There was a movie on this thing.
Okay.
On her, I guess.
Gulabi Gang.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? What is this person doing here? What about this? Anybody? Sindhutai Sapkal. Okay. Wow, what is she known? Why was the movie made on her? Yeah, feel free. Anybody's talking?
I guess his network is not.
Okay. Okay, so these are stories of pain, passion, and leadership. I'll start with Sindhutai Sapkal, a woman who came from a very, very poor family, got married at the age of 12. By 20, she had 3 children. She was thrown out of her house when she was 9 months pregnant. She had to stay in a stable and then had to really beg for her survival. And while she was begging, she found many children on the street who were orphans, and she adopted them all. So while she had her own daughter that she had to support, she started begging for the children, and now she has something like more than 1,000 children, who she's becoming a mother of. And to make sure that she doesn't have a bias towards her own daughter, she actually gifted away or donated her daughter to one of the trusts in Pune, and so that she's impartial to her orphans. And now obviously she gets a lot of support. A lot of people have joined her. She's got multiple awards. A movie got made on her, but a really, really story of pain and how that pain she has transformed into a leadership role. So despite having your own challenges, Dadarao Bhilare, this person here on the middle, you can imagine the biggest tragedy that can happen in anyone's life is losing your own child in your lifetime. So he lost his son when the son was 16 to a pothole accident. So he got killed due to a pothole. anybody could become bitter, after such an incident, and would just, say, I need compensation, and obviously would really lose interest. The way he dealt with this tragedy, his personal tragedy, is that he started filling potholes on his own. So he just takes whatever material he has and then just goes on his own. So throughout the day, he has a shop, he runs a shop, and in the evening, he just starts filling potholes. After 3 years, almost 500, 600 potholes he has filled, and there's 150 people who have joined him. He was interviewed on some primetime television, and everybody asked him the same question: "Don't you feel angry that you lost your son?" And he said, "Yeah, the first reaction was that, but then I saw many more people, in front of my shop. There was a pothole, and many people, more people were really falling, and I really felt that when I filled that first hole in front of my shop, so many people, they could really drive well, and that's when I felt that I'm doing a Shraddhanjali for my son." So he's been doing that selflessly. Not many of you know about him. Some people, sometimes there is always a glamour attached. People get interviewed, movies get made on them, but many of you couldn't even name Sindhutai, right? So it's not that movie was her target. Her target is something else. So her purpose is beyond the person. So it's not about 5 million followers or movie getting made or a Padma Shri. They do it because they really believe in it. Same thing with Sagar Reddy, who's an orphan himself. He managed to get a sponsor. He managed to do engineering, get a good job in IT, and then once he went back to his orphanage, and he met a lot of other children, and he realized that after 18, there is no orphanage. So after you become adult, basically you can't stay in an orphanage, and it's very ironic that this particular problem nobody noticed. So they do not have any identity because they are orphans, so they don't get a job, and most of the time these people become criminal. So what he did is he actually devoted his flat as a support base for the orphans coming out of orphanages after 18, and now he's got multiple people supporting him. There's also a discussion about making a movie on him, and he has really created a hostel, and his work is expanding now. So 1,000 odd youth have got benefited. Many of them are giving UPSC exams, becoming IAS officers, going to IITs. He's got many girls married. So he's become a parent of orphan himself. Timaka here on the right didn't have children. He and her husband decided to adopt trees, and they have planted something like 8,000 trees now, and some 80 odd banyan trees across the highway. Anuradha Prabhudesai was a banker, went to Ladakh once on a leisure trip, met some armed forces people, and then she was really moved by their sacrifices, and she has now devoted her life for armed forces. So she talks about what the sacrifices they are making. She takes care of their families in case of challenges. She tries to celebrate festivals with them. She also was taking trips. She said everybody goes to Leh Ladakh on leisure, but nobody really visits Kargil. So she had started doing some trips to Kargil. So we should actually make sure that we go and visit the Kargil memorial where where so many people, our armed forces have got martyred. So a lot of these challenges that we have in our life break us, and we feel that, oh, I already have my problem to be solved. How do I lead? And we have so many inspirational examples. These are only sample. There are hundreds of them which are nameless, faceless, but they continue doing their work. So we talked about profession and leadership. We talked about passion or pain in leadership. Let's talk about perseverance. Now, when you decide to take a cause which is beyond yourself, there will be ups and downs. And I hope how many of you know these? This is already anyway written. There was a movie made on Padman. Anybody knows the kind of challenges he had in the journey? Hello.
He was thrown out of his village.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to leave it, I guess, or something like that.
His wife left him. His mother left him. It is very rare for a mother to really disown the son, right? So imagine the kind of conviction that you need to pursue a cause which you believe so strongly in that no matter what happens, you just continue. Your loved ones, like maybe leave you. They don't trust. They think you've gone mad. Same thing with Greta Thunberg, right? She's born in Sweden. I've lived in Sweden. It's almost a perfect country, beautiful country, and almost no friction in your daily life. But she decides that I need to pursue this cause of global warming. She just goes and stands in front of parliament, a teenager in Sweden, right? And then she's now at a stage where her work is getting recognized. A lot of changes have happened in Sweden about the number of flights getting reduced, and she herself always travels, in a boat. So perseverance is also another important aspect. It's not only sufficient that you choose a cause, because a lot of us, feel inspired, in one fine morning that, yeah, I want to do this. But then would we, actually pursue it, despite all the ups and downs and challenges. So let's summarize now then what is really public leadership. So if I have to, answer the first question that we asked, is it someone who sees a challenge which others don't see? So when we say vision is nothing but you see something that others don't see, and you take a first step towards doing something with it, right? There is a just cause which is beyond yourself. So everybody lives for themselves, their family, and that's also important. I'm not saying it's not important, but public leaders are someone who take a cause which is beyond themselves, and they don't give up. There's a perseverance, a selfless work beyond it, and that's why people follow him, not because they are charismatic, right? Dadara Bilare, 150 people have joined him, filling up potholes, not because he's charismatic or not because he talks. He's doing some genuine work, and he talks from his heart. So that's how people believe in you, and then they follow you. It's not a career for them. It's not like this quarter I made my numbers, I'm done, or I got this promotion, I'm done. It's about a lifetime mission. So they choose something and they really devote their life to it. And oftentimes this is anonymous. Like I said, some of them might get Padma Shri, some of the movies get made, they get interviewed on TV. Sometimes there is a talk about them, but then very soon they go into public memory, go out of public memory. And the purpose is over person. So it's never about I want to be famous, so I have arrived, so I'm done. So their cause doesn't end at they becoming famous or they getting recognized. It's the cause is more important. So I didn't cover the story. I think somebody mentioned Gulabo gang, right? Again, same thing. Very, very inspiring story from a very grassroots work, women leadership she started. But unfortunately, when I was looking at the story, the movie got made, and then there was later on some corruption charges that were there. Same thing happened with India against corruption movement. Fantastic support from the public. A lot of people joined Anna Hazare. But then obviously it's a good outcome of one political party which is challenged. But the real cause for which the entire movement started, the corruption charges, most of these people are out, right? I mean, be it Satyam's, Raju, or the 2G scam, or the Colgate, most of these people are out. None of them are punished. So the cause is not really solved, right? So how do we put a person over cause? So it's not about I achieving something. It's about whether I'm really taking care of the purpose that I started with. I'm not able to see anybody and not able to hear anything. How is it going? So I'm kind of covering my first section, which was supposed to take 15 minutes. It was taken a bit more, but I hope we are good here.
Yes, we are doing good.
Okay, so just wanted to end this section with a quote from Rabindranath Tagore. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw the life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. So a lot of times you will see that, and all of you, the Lions and Leos, I heard a lot of service work that is happening. 2nd October, that week was the service week. So I'm sure you've seen the joy that comes out of this, right? I mean, it's not same as just doing a party on the weekend and drinking your guts out. It's also, there's more sustainable joy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the second section is about self-leadership. So what is self-leadership? So there is a small quiz that I wanted to do. Viral, can we do this?
Yeah. Okay. Ma'am, it's on.
Okay, can everybody please poll for this?
Viral?
I'm not sure I can. I couldn't enter. I'm not sure whether people are able to enter, Viral.
Ma'am, it's on now. Okay, guys, you can vote in.
Okay. Are we still voting? 33 of 40 has voted.
Yeah.
So yeah, so 58% say leaders are made, and then some of them are saying it's both. Okay. So let's go into this section with this question: are leaders born or made? So for some reason okay. How many of you have seen this model of finding your purpose, Ikigai? Anybody?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I have. I've read the book as well.
Okay, Bhumika, do you want to explain what
Uh,
have you understood of this?
I think there should be mixture and proportionate uh, part of everything. And if you, so a plate with every ingredient is necessary. You cannot eat only pickle. Or so for same goes with our life. So that's it. So you need mixture of passion, mission, profession, vocation, everything. And then you can be a perfect, or you can lead a perfect life with purpose.
Okay. Anybody else? Thanks, Bhumika. That was nice.
Whatever you do should solve a burning problem of the society. Otherwise, it is meaningless. Uh, so there should be a mission, and that's what I'm saying. So to make something a profession, it should solve some sort of problem in the society. Like whatever you love to do.
Okay. Thanks, Akash. That's a nice perspective. Anybody else? Okay. So see, there are 4 circles here. It's about what you love, what you are good at, what you get paid for, and what the world needs. The philosophy is when you do something that you love doing, something that you're really good at, something that you get paid for, and something that is world needs, is where you have a sweet spot, which is the purpose of your life. So all of us are born with our unique gifts, and when we find this is when we can be really happy. So there are, I mean, a lot of times you would have heard surveys that 65% people who work are not happy. They don't like their work. They wait for Friday. So you have concepts like thank God it's a Friday, right? You just live your life on a weekend. Monday to Friday you drag yourself, so you drag yourself to office on Monday. So this is where those people are. There is a feeling of emptiness. They don't feel, or maybe this is where they are. They don't get paid for it. They do what they love, but not much money, they get very good money, but then they feel what they're doing is actually not having any impact on the world, right? Partially that's what happened to me when I decided to take my sabbatical last year after coming back from Europe, that I felt, yeah, I was doing very well, in terms of standard materialistic measures. You're getting promoted, you have a good position, you have big teams, you're serving large customers, and you're delivering. But then, what is it? Where is my impact, right? So I felt my impact was very limited, and that's when I said maybe I need to do something which the world needs, where I can apply my skills. So obviously, I don't believe even at 50 I have figured out what is my purpose, but at least that should be our ambition. That is where we want to go. So that is what so you will find people here, they are delighted, fulfilled, but no wealth. They are here sometimes, excitement, complacency, but no certainty, because they are only doing 2 of the 4 things. So the idea is to really identify your purpose, your ikigai, which will give you the fulfilled life. Now, how do you do that, right? How do you find out what are you good at? And so what is knowing yourself? This can happen only when you know yourself. Now, how many of you feel that you really know yourself, and what does knowing yourself mean in the first place? So I mean, I was in Europe, and a lot of times, they do this gap year, or they do backpacking trip, to find yourself. So travel is considered the best way to really understand yourself, because you go through life experiences that you would otherwise not go in your city life. You understand life's, different dimensions, and then they feel that, people. So many people, we have examples from BIF Rashtam journey, where we have youth coming to our policy boot camp, and at the end of the boot camp they get exposed to so many different things. They talk to so many speakers, They meet so many like-minded people. We have something like 150 people in youth coming together from different backgrounds, different places of the city, and they discuss something. And they, at the end of the boot camp, they say, I have figured it out. I'm going to leave my job, and this is what I'm going to do. And there are people who have left lucrative jobs and have gone back to their villages to do farming, and now then become a best farmer and got Prime Minister's award. There is a lady who had earlier decided to do corporate career, and she said, I didn't know that there are actually careers available in policy, and she decided to give UPSC. In fact, this time she actually is a rank holder in UPSC and will go on to do IS, right? So a lot of times finding yourself becomes a big challenge. What do I want? What is it that really I need to do? In terms of brain, right, there's a lot of research that is happening in the brain. The IQ in the popular sense, when you measure IQ of a person, you say, oh, this guy is 180, he's brilliant, genius, he'll do something good in life. We assume that IQ is a measure of the capability that you have. But, when I started reading about growth mindset, I came across some experts in the space in Sweden. They said IQ was designed as a measurement technique to measure your current state of your brain. So the more you practice a skill, your neural pathways get formed, and you can actually improve a particular skill. So growth mindset is basically believing that it's limitless. Human potential is limitless, and I can develop whatever I want to do, right? So that mindset is extremely important, because otherwise you have lots of excuses. I'm like this only. I don't have good memory. I can't remember things. I'm not good at public speaking. You should really see Sandeep Maheshwari's transformation there. So if you limit yourself, saying that this is what I am, then there's no way of, you can't really break through your shackles, and you can't break through your limitations. So all of these dimensions, unlimited possibilities are there. You have so many examples. There's a guy called Tim Quick who talks about memory, amazing, guidance there. He says, he can remember 100 words, forward, backwards, numbers, amazing things that you can do with your memory. Leo Suchard, if you have heard about him, mentalist, does amazing things with group of people. He, just through his mind, he can ask the group of people to draw something that he wants them to draw without telling them, right? Lot of fantastic work. Physical endurance, we would have heard a lot of stories. People have, crossing their, after getting, let's say, amputated, they climb Mount Everest and stuff like that. So it's unlimited, right? What is important is you start with what do I know and knowing myself. So that is where, take social dimension, for example, right? People don't even know whether they are an introvert and extrovert. Our society is actually, most of the things that you go in the society, people say, oh, this person doesn't talk, he's shy. He may not be shy, just he's an introvert and he doesn't want to talk, right? So knowing yourself, because these kind of things put a lot of pressure on you, and you try to become what you're not. So it's very, very important that you monitor your thoughts, you understand who you are, spend some time with you, and really, believe that it's unlimited. So whatever I really want to do, I can do. So the potential is unlimited. So that's the first step of self-leadership, where you say you start with knowing yourself, and that's knowing all the dimensions. Ever wondered why some people are unstoppable? I mean, you hear so many stories, right? I mean, like I said, this your generation, there's no dearth of inspirational material. There's loads of material on the internet. You'll have successful people talking. There will be multiple models they'll talk, 3Gs, 4Ms, 5Is, 3 top 6 secrets of success, top 5 things, that you need to become a good entrepreneur. Loads of stuff, right? So do you wonder what these people are, where are they different? What is it? Any guesses? Any reflections? What do you think makes some people unstoppable? They're very clear and nothing deters them.
Their confidence.
Confidence, okay. What else?
Sanmitra Kamble commented power of believer.
Okay. Can you just elaborate on that? I don't know who was talking. Sorry, I didn't catch the name.
Sanmitra. You can unmute yourself.
Sanmitra, yeah. You want to talk about? Elaborate a bit? Okay, anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Samitra, you
Yeah.
can go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Is anybody talking, Viral? I'm not able to see.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
I just asked her to unmute herself in case she isn't able to.
Are you able to?
No, she.
Okay, so um, I- some of you might have heard about 7 chakras, and I don't want to go to that level of spirituality. It's simple thing like, what do I think?
Acha, ma'am, sorry to stop you. She has one comment. When you ask something from the universe, it provides you with it.
Okay, okay, yeah. So universe conspires to
So,
really
so I think
serve your purpose.
she's indicating it to the law of attraction thing. I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because you believe it will be given to you. So, Sanmitra, like you are much more talking about law of attraction rather than power of believing it.
Umang, he Sanmitra Kamle,
Yeah, yeah,
male.
mm. Yeah. We can hear you. You can speak.
Sanmitra, go ahead, please.
Okay, so yeah, I think let's hope he or she comes back in some time. So see, all of you have, I mean, it's very obvious you have read all of this secret and law of attraction and universe conspires and all of that, right? So it still happens. I mean, it's like, if I compare to my generation to your generation, you have so much wealth of information available. So you would wonder that all the success formula is out there. What stops you? So it's all there, right? So it's only few people who could really break through. What is it? So maybe in the way I interpreted it, it is what do you think? That's your brain. What do you feel? That's your heart. And what do you want? That's your gut. When all these three centers are fully aligned, that's when you're unstoppable, because there's no confusion in your mind. It doesn't matter what your friends say. I mean, you'll see Arnold Schwarzenegger and also all of these people talking about, don't worry about naysayers, right? There will be always naysayers in terms of whenever you choose something, or you've gone crazy. I mean, we have seen so many examples, right? You are unstoppable because your heart, your head, and your gut is telling you exactly the same things, fully aligned. No confusion. Doesn't matter who's there with you. It helps if someone is there with you, but then it doesn't matter if somebody decides to not continue with you. And that is something which is obviously you need to be blessed for that, but that's also you have to work on it, because there's so much noise around us. There's so much peer pressure. Is this acceptable? Is this okay? I mean, look at Greta Thunberg. I mean, she, as a teenager, she just decides to go and sit in front of parliament. Isn't everybody would call her crazy. I mean, you already know all the examples where people would be called crazy. I mean, everybody who has done something breakthrough in their times, they were called crazy. But they were so clear and sure in their head, heart, and gut that they were just unstoppable, right? So that's where that's the self mastery part, right? Now, obviously, as I said, there's a lot of noise around, and we'll talk about the 21st century and the VUCA world in the next section. Uh, it's not easy. You'll have to work towards it. You have to spend some time with yourself. Uh, what your needs, very, very important, right? I mean, what is it that you really need and what is it that you want, right? I mean, is that the latest iPhone model? I have to have it just because that's what will make me relevant, or that's what will make me cool. uh, then it's unlimited, right? So the paradigm shift there is, if you look at anthropocentric view, is where you say human is at the top of the food chain. You say, we are the smartest, we have the best brain, and hence we decide who does what. And that's what we have done here now. This is coming to an end, as you know, you can't keep consuming. You can't, we have started consuming the earth now. 70% of the species have got extinct, and, most of the animals that are there who are surviving are only what humans need, either for their food or as pets, right? Uh, to moving to ego to eco, where you say, I'm part of the nature. We have seen COVID has tried to teach us that lesson. That a similar thing has happened with the California wildfires, right? I mean, nobody had a clue. With all the technology, they're trying to go to Mars and figure out things, and we don't know how to really control the wildfire, and it's just went out of control for months together. It just destroyed so many forest cover, both in Australia and California, right? So how do we really move from ego to seva mindset, where we say we are the most evolved species, our brain has developed, so it's not only limbic system, which is the fight, flight, and freeze, only 3 responses, right? That's what most of the other species can do. They just know the survival, but we have prefrontal cortex, and we can think, and we can reason, and we can empathize, and we can think beyond ourselves. It's not only about survival. We have seen so many sacrifices being made, despite people losing their lives to serve others. So that, that happens only with the seva mindset. So I'll just close this section with the quote that the meaning of life is to find your purpose, and the purpose of life is to give away. Any reflections of that? How many of you believe that this is true? That all of us are born with some unique skill and a unique gift to give it to the world, and the real fulfillment will come only when we find it, the real meaning? Any reactions?
Yes, yes, absolutely. People are commenting. Bhumika.
Can you read it for me, please? You can also unmute yourself and talk. I'll be really happy to hear some reactions to this, because this is fundamental. This is a very important section before I go to the next section, which is knowing your environment. No feedback. Viral, Umang, you guys can also talk. You're playing leadership roles in your respective domains.
Like, I've never attended any kind of a leadership seminar earlier, so it's kind of a new thing for me, and I'm learning a lot of things now.
Okay.
I knew a few people, which the photos that you showed earlier, but I didn't knew the story behind that.
Okay.
A lot of them. So yeah, I am learning a lot of things now.
Okay. But do you believe that everyone is born with something unique? Everybody's unique.
Yeah, that's true. Just like fingerprints, it's unique. So yeah.
Okay. So should we worry about competition then? If all of us are unique, is there a competition?
No.
Yeah, it is meant to be.
If we think in that way, in a way of competition thing, competing thing, then it's a competition. And if we take it as a seva and think it is serving to the people, so it won't be, like convincing it to the competition thing. Like we will be doing it for ourselves. We won't nurture into any kind of competition.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually talking from, because all of us obviously, have our lives to play. We have our financial responsibilities. All of us need to also do what we need to do, right? So my question was more in front of, if you see, when is the competition? When you say there are 10 people exactly same trying to do one thing. That's when the competition. If I'm saying I'm unique and I have my own gift, and that gift is something which nobody else can give, will there be a competition, right? So that's, I'm just trying to say, if you all find your individual gifts, individual divinity amongst yourself, aham brahmasmi, and then it's easy. And obviously, as I said, it's not easy. I mean, at 50 I have not figured everything out, but I think the pursuit is there. At least that realization is there, that I need to watch my thoughts. I need to see at the end of the day how many times I'm getting angry. Am I really doing that is giving me fulfillment? Or that's when I left my job, or I decided to took sabbatical, obviously there were a lot of people saying that, oh, why are you leaving? Very less women at the senior roles in IT. You shouldn't leave. You should mentor other women. You're not really serving the economy, and so on, right? I mean, everybody will have an argument. So you need to have that conviction. Yeah, this is what I need to do now. I've done what I had to do. This is what I need to do now. So finally, finding that gift, and then when you start in this path, how do you really apply your unique gift to something that world really needs? Okay. So the third section is know your environment, and I hope we are doing okay on time. And I hope I have not lost a lot of people. People have not gone to.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, no.
Okay. So the second poll is there. Just had a question: whose life was easier, yours or your parents? Viral, you want to put the poll?
Yeah, I'll do it. Done.
Again, we can't enter it, Viral.
You won't be able to do that, ma'am.
Okay, okay, that's
People will be able to do it. Since you are the co-host.
okay. Fair enough. My life is easier. I hope people are not getting influenced by this poll. I will hide my results. So that's what I think. The leader, somebody decides and then everybody follows. So let's get some unbiased. What is your opinion, Viral?
Actually, my life is easier. What I have seen in my family, it's like mine is much much easier than what my parents had earlier.
Okay. So do we have the poll?
Yeah, just I guess a lot of people might have they are just still answering, but we have around 60% of the people who have answered. I guess 60 or 50%. I guess.
Are you able to show that, or is that something which
I will be able to show it once. Just a minute. Yeah. So it's like 40% are saying that our life is easier, and 60% says depends on what makes it easy.
Okay. I had actually only decided to keep two options, and that time I'm sure it would have come as 100% as your life easier. So let's go through this section. So yeah, it also depends on what do you define easy as. So let's go through this section in terms of knowing your environment, and then we'll come back to this question. Okay. I mean, some of you might be history students, but all of us you would know the evolution of the inventions that have happened. So 18th century, a steam engine was designed, the railway started, then electricity, 19th century, computers, computing. And the fourth, the revolution, so to say, is supposed to be the most disruptive. See, most of these evolutions or innovations that have happened to get the world closer, right? To improve the communication, so telephone, internet, transfer goods faster, so improve the efficiency, improve the productivity, automate things, washing machines, and all the tools that we came up with. So it was always external phase to make human life easier, faster, better, cheaper, get the world closer. But what is happening now is actually considered the biggest disruption of all time. So it is, they're saying in the human history, this is the largest technology transformation that's upon us. It's not one or two things which, we see electricity had a big impact, automobile obviously had a big impact. I said faster transportation, moving goods faster, telephone, better communication, get the world closer, internet, computers, has got the world closer. It's almost like a flat world now, right? I mean, all of us know everything that's happening pretty much everywhere in the world. Now, what is happening now? We're talking about multiple technologies coming together. So the whole thing about 21st century, right? So if you look at 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, now 21st century, what is this thing about 21st century? So it's blockchain, genome sequencing, robotics, energy storage, cloud. I mean, you look at storage, right? I still remember when I started my career electronics engineer, we had this 2.5-inch floppy disk. And, we had in MBs storage. Now we talk about terabytes, just like that, free. So the storage, capacity has absolutely gone unlimited with the cloud and artificial intelligence, right? All of these technologies together coming, the level of disruption that's going to happen, we have no clue how the world will look in 10 years' time. I mean, today, whoever is going to college or selecting their specialization or even going to school have no clue what are the kind of jobs that will stay in 10 years' time, right? I mean, we're talking about surgeries will be done by robots, right? I mean, there's a lot of material available about only 75 skills that will stay. Everything is so ambiguous. We have no clue. Robotics with large amount of storage, a large amount of artificial intelligence. The 21st century is targeting now human mind. And imagine something that you have not completely understood, you're trying to automate that. Imagine the risks involved. I mean, we talk about self-driven cars, right? I mean, have we thought about the ethical decision a machine can take when, let's say there is someone who comes in front of self-driven car and, there is somebody sitting in the back, machine has to take a decision, who do you save? Is that something machine can do? So imagine you're trying to automate the mind. because you have unlimited data. So you assume I have enough information, which generally human brain has, which is allows us to take decisions. And hence I can use artificial intelligence to automate the job. Imagine the risks involved, right? So like I said, genome editing, we're trying to really play with the organs. I mean, there are so many innovations that are happening in the way the human body works, something that starts as a research for curing a particular disease goes on to enhancing the capabilities, right? So something, a research starts as a cancer and you find out something that with the genome sequencing, you can actually enhance the power of human. Imagine, you try to become superhuman, or you're trying to make machine humans. So that's the uncertainty that we are dealing with, and that's the level of unknowns that exist in the world today. And obviously there's a lot of information. As I said, all of you might have access to a lot of information, but the problem is of attention. First thing in the morning, most of us, when we get up, we actually give our sovereignty to the phone, right? Phone decides what do we do next. It's not us. Do we really plan our day, saying that this morning I will not look at the phone for the first hour in the morning? I plan my day. That doesn't happen, right? Because more information, less attention. So, I mean, I was reading, I talked about the neuro pathways, right? We are actually training our brains to think less and less because, we have kind of given the entire control to our smart devices. So I talked about VUCA world. So it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So that's the VUCA for you. It's you will find material there. But I think the bottom line is that education today is not about literacy. It's about learning to learn, unlearn, and relearn. See, most of my parents' generation did one job throughout their life, not even different companies, almost one company that throughout what I did one thing. My generation changed the jobs maybe, but typically the vocation remained the same. So if I'm an electronics engineer, I would generally serve as an electronics engineer throughout my life. I might have changed 2-3 jobs. In 21st century, it is said that in your lifetime, you have to change 3 or 4 times your job itself, the job profile itself, because the world is changing so much, everything around you is changing. And in that case, does it help that I am a doctor or I'm a lawyer or I'm an entrepreneur? Because the world is changing. So what you need to learn is to learn new skill, to unlearn what you already know, because that's no longer applicable. In fact, it might harm you rather than helping you, because what you know is no longer relevant in the new world. So what do you unlearn, what do you relearn, right? So that's what it says. So there is something called meta skills. Please stop me if you feel I'm going too fast, if there are questions. Viral, is it okay? Is it clear so far? Are there reflections,
Yes,
questions?
ma'am. Completely clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else? Let Viral not answer for all of you. If there are.
Yes, ma'am. It is going great.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Meta skills, right? What is meta skill? I mean, see, most of our schools, there's a guy called Ken Robinson, who is a academician, British academician who did a lot of work later in the US. He recently passed away. Wonderful work he has done. One of his videos or TED talk went viral, where he said school skill creativity. See, most of our education systems were designed at the time of earlier industrial revolution, where the focus was on, so when a man from hunter-gatherers, he became farmer, the skills changed, right? From farmers, after the industrial revolution, it was less focus, and then the banks and all the other institutions came into picture, so the roles changed. So any other evolution that happened earlier, the roles only changed, there was no elimination, whereas now we are talking about replacing a human mind. In that case, there might be a whole lot of elimination of a lot of roles. And in that case, what do we need? How do we survive? So what do we need to, is like we talked about self-awareness already. Unless you know yourself, you accept the reality and have empathy around what's happening. Resilience, lots of up downs, things changing around you. You have to overcome failures, you have to learn new things, you have to experiment. Resilience and creativity. So his point was, everybody is born with unlimited creativity and unlimited bravery and unlimited empathy and unlimited love, and all of those skills, right? And we actually take them out of creativity by schooling them. So none of our education systems, unfortunately, are designed for the what I call information age, where information is available. What you need is, how do I use that information? What do I make? How do I make sense of it? What should I read? Every day you start your day, as I said, throughout the day, so many posts, so many messages. Look at this, like this, subscribe this, forward this, all of that, right? How do you make sense out of it? How do I really decide what is good for me? What am I trying to learn? Am I deciding what I'm learning, or is my liberty? So the whole freedom is, have we given away our freedom to someone else? That person, the entire ecosystem is deciding how our day looks like. He also said that more and more there is no one-dimensional solutions to any problems in the world. I mean, you take health, right? What all gets involved in health, right? Is it only, so it's your diet? All of us know, right? There's so much information available now that food is medicine. I mean, now West is started packaging all these old ancient concepts that we already know in India, which unfortunately we have lost ourselves, is that food is medicine, right? So what do you eat? Now, what you eat comes from now a chemical, modified or genetically modified crops. That has impact on our body. So you need to understand agriculture. You need to understand soil. The soil quality is deteriorating. We used to have multiple variety in the soils, and we used to really have different kind of crops. But now, because of the industrialization, we wanted to increase volume, and that's when we lost the quality of what we are producing. So now there is a fad about organic farming, which is nothing but what we did, right? The whole gai gobar kheti, right? So all of this is now coming back as a new packaged version, and it's much more expensive than what we used to have. So the creativity, again, it doesn't get taught. We in fact lose it sometimes. And we need to now figure out this world that is happening around us. Trying to solve any problem needs interdisciplinary skills. So like I said, if you're talking about health, it's also agriculture, it's also environment, it's also mental health, it's your environment, it's your social, it's technology. So many dimensions come together, right? So take any problem for that matter. So interdisciplinary skills is what is needed more and more. So meta skills is what we need to know. So learning to learn. So that's where we have a lot of focus in Rashtam as well, where we don't teach people things, right? You can learn things now on the thing. What do we teach is self-discovery, self-leadership, knowing yourself, and meta skills. So that is what we want people to know, that how do you learn a new skill? Take an example of language. You want to learn French or any other new language. Learning French is a skill, but learning to learn a language, you say, in my lifetime, if I love to learn 3 languages, how do I learn languages? That's a meta skill. So meta skill is one step above of the general skills that we talk about. And that's what is the current focus. Now I have some questions here. Should I stop for a minute and take some reactions, feedback before we go? Okay, so this is a scale. I'm going to ask you questions. Where do you see yourself on the scale? I mean, and this is not a poll. This is just, you can just talk, unmute yourself or put it on the chat. For a topic of employment, where do you find yourself? Do you find yourself on hope, or do you find yourself on the side of fear?
Hope.
Hope, very good.
Hope.
Any other?
Hope.
Hope, very good.
Fear.
Fear, okay. Any other examples? Any other reactions?
Hope. Everyone is hope.
Hope, very good.
Viral
Very
says
good.
fear.
Engineer.
Viral, that's because the next elections are due. Your job as a president might go away. So,
No, not about that. It's about fear of future. That's all.
yeah, okay. What about global health? That's the next question. Are you on the hope side, or are you on the fear side?
Fear side.
Fear.
Fear.
Anybody else?
Can it be like accurate, like middle of fear and middle of hope?
Yeah, that's also fine. But provided you don't freeze yourself, you don't stop taking action. You can say, oh, I'm just not decided, so I will just not move, right? As long as it's helping you balance. So because that's another challenge, right? All the thing that I talked about 20th century, the other very major role that the media is playing, including the social media, right? I don't know how many of you have seen Netflix thing called Social Dilemma. It's
Yes.
amazing how, yeah, some of you might have seen, right? Can you see that you feel that you have a free will? You think you are free, right? I mean, in this world, everybody feels that they are free to decide what they want, how to spend their day, but not really. There are people there are neuroscientists, neurologists who are deciding, where do you get attracted again and again, what gets fed to you depending on one search that you did. So you might be actually getting polarized and you feel that, oh, I'm actually, having free will and I have all the information and I'm taking my decisions. No more. So it's actually a bit, a very wake up call for all of us who are spending significant time on social media, is that, yeah, I mean, the people are taken control of our life. Machines have taken control, everybody else has taken control of life except for us. Okay, so global health. What about future of humanity? Just are you more positive or are you
Fear.
fear?
Fear.
Fear. I hope my earlier section had nothing to do with your current reaction.
Fear.
Fear. Terrorism.
Fear.
Fear. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse?
Hope it will end soon.
Okay. Environment.
Fear.
Hope. That's right.
Hope.
Other points. Okay, so I mean, we have seen the reactions, right? So there are multiple topics that are there around you. So I had my third poll here. Anybody want to?
It's on.
Okay, I'll maybe hide it.
Guys, there is a poll started. Please respond.
I am having one answer 10 hours a day. Omkar.
Guys, wake up, wake up.
Yeah, I guess it's 10 hours. Yeah, I was an entire day, I guess. Whenever we get time, it's like just open up an Instagram. That's it.
Okay, do we
Yeah.
have feedback? Viral, how does it look?
So this is how it looks. Less than 1 hour per day, that's 17. Less than 2 hours is 17. And more than 2 hours is 67.
Yeah. So any reflections on that poll? Can you self-lead when you have given your life to someone else? Or you can, there's
No.
nothing wrong here. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody who's in that 67% is not really have a control of their life. I'm just saying that knowing what you know about how social media plays on our minds, decides our decisions. I mean, there is something as huge as US elections got swayed, right? The whole Cambridge Analytica case where, once someone is thinking on some side, you keep getting fed on the same material. So you get a feeling that the entire world thinks like me, but you are in one bubble and there is some other people who are getting fed in completely opposite view, and there's no very honest and open dialogue on two conflicting views. Do you think we can actually have very civil dialogue on two conflicting views and can have a clean debate without calling names to each other? Do you think we are capable of doing that anymore because of the whole polarization that's happening? Yeah, I thought somebody was trying to say something. Any reactions on that?
I mean, it depends.
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I'm not judging anyone. This is, like I said, I'm not here to teach you anything. There's a wonderful quote from Mahabharata, which says, anything that you try to learn, there's only 25% that comes from the teacher. 25% is your self-reflection. 25% comes from your peers, because a lot of times you're learning together, you have debates, you have discussions. Right now, people are sharing their views, and and the rest 25% will only come through your life's experience. So it's not that you're going to go away enlightened about leadership, and you will become leader next day. It doesn't happen. It's for you to reflect on, right? This is all kind of something that the idea is to really make you aware of the environment and what's happening in the world. Like I said, because you guys are living in, all of us are living in uncertain VUCA world. How do we really make sense out of what is happening around us and still stay sane and still keep our dreams, keep our positivity, keep our faith, and march on. So that's the idea. So it's very much possible that keep your sanity. You need to have your dose of entertainment, because otherwise the day becomes very taxing. So please share your information or your reflections at this point before we go to the last section.
In fact, to add to this, ma'am, I was recently reading an article which
Yeah.
said that even though social media has created an environment where we are closer to our friends, yet the rate of people feeling lonely has increased, and the anxiety of not having something, because on social media one only portrays their perfect life and not their downs, which is creating different sorts of anxieties and mental problems.
Absolutely. Very good point. So you are absolutely right. No one wakes up in the morning and with their shabby face takes a selfie and post it on the Facebook, right? It's always the best. I mean, you might take 10 selfies before you decide what you want to post. So it's always the perfect version of yourself. And there is a
Absolutely.
statistics, as you said, this depression and suicide rates have increased, tripled on the people who are doing, because they always compare someone else's perfect life, perfect meal that they had, a perfect evening that they had, and a perfect holiday that they had. You know how it works, right? I mean, do we really ever share that I had a really bad hair day today, I suck? Nobody says that, right? Everybody's rocking. So if
Absolutely.
everybody's rocking, there's something wrong with me. That's how you interpret. Yeah. So yes, so we have to also understand that you feel that you're globally connected. I have so many friends on Facebook, and I have big network. And so in fact, there was like the same article that you mentioned, right? I mean, a lot of people say that I don't know how many of them are my midnight saviors. If I get in trouble and if I have to call someone in the middle of the night, I don't know who I can call, right? That's just the illusion of the big network that I have. So we are kind of losing the trick on real personal connections, personal things that make life tick. The real. So the amount of time that we are spending with machines is making the world look like very easy, right? I mean, the dopamine doses that we get out of the likes that we get on our social media posts and stuff like that. So you get addicted. So if you get addicted to happiness like this, would you really worry and spend time on a person where the relationship is not necessarily the smoothest? You have to make efforts. Why would I make effort? My machine is keeping me happy. So I would rather not invest, right? But that life doesn't work that way, right? I mean, in that sense, so coming back to the question of your life easy and our previous generation. So obviously, in terms of financial, materialistic safety, first generation of the after freedom, the generation was busy putting food on the table, right? So, because we started on a very bad note that 90% of the people were below poverty, and our GDP was wiped out, with the colonial role and so on. So the first generation was keeping food on the table. Second generation was having a comfortable life, have a flat, have cars, maybe a couple of cars, maybe a second home, do some international trips. The third generation, maybe your generation is the first generation who's really looking at finding a meaning or a purpose, and they have the luxury, because there is some comfort that is already ensured. So how do you really make sense of that, thing? And in that sense, you're easy into materialistic thing, but when it comes to complexity of the world, I mean, for us, for example, right, I had just two choices. Somebody told me you should become an engineer. I became an engineer. Fortunately, I loved programming, and that's how I loved my job, and I loved what I was doing. And that's just a coincidence, right? That was not a very conscious choice. So in that sense, our lives were easier, less options. More options is not necessarily good, right? More options is also difficult, because then you're not sure what you're looking for. So in that sense, your life is much more complex. But in that other sense, you have a lot of information available, you have a lot of resources available, but we also need to know how to make the best use of that. Okay, we are left with last 20 minutes. So should we go to the last section? We didn't see the poll results. Obviously, saw the poll results. Yeah, so we talked about this, right? So impact journey. So how do you define? So now we started with what does public leadership mean? What are some of the inspiring examples from professional life, from pain to leadership, perseverance examples. We talked about self-leadership, knowing yourself, taking control of your life, spending some time with yourself. So once you decide, let's say you have a cause and you start, what is the first step? So how many of you heard of hero's journey? There's a guy called Joseph Campbell who actually came up with this kind of a metaphor for hero's journey. So it's a quote which says, "A cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek." Right. So once you decide, obviously the starting it is difficult. So this is a hero's journey. I mean, it generally applies to most of the Superman movies. Where you have a call for adventure, you get some supernatural aid, you have a threshold, you struggle, you go through abyss, the lowest part, your life. You feel hopeless, lost, and then there is some helper that comes, there is a mentor that comes, some allies come, and then you transform yourself, right? So that's the hero's journey. So that's generally, life cycle. There's again a lot of material available here, but I think what is important is it's not like I start something and we talked about your generation has got used to convenience, right? I mean, I was giving example to someone yesterday that when we booked a phone, landline, it would take 7 years there's a big waiting list. Can you imagine something like that in the current world? Everything happens on a swipe left and swipe right, right? You just order something, it comes, be it food, be it gadgets. So there is no training to your neuro pathways to wait for something, or that things take time. In the real world, relationships take time. If you're chasing a purpose, that takes time. Success will not come overnight. So it's like you float a YouTube video. If there are no more than 100 views the next day, and some X likes, you feel depressed. Oh, I'm a failure. It doesn't work that way, right? So there is always a hero's journey. You take a Batman, or who would have Robin. You would have Sherlock Holmes, who's supported by Dr. Watson. With so many examples. I mean, you had Arjuna in his lowest period, and Krishna basically, pulled him out of that agony. So there will be always the lowest period. So allies, mentors, helpers, sometimes will bring that transformation. And once you transform, then you go to the next level of goodness. You have that additional evolution in your thought process, in your personality, and you are able to take care of larger topics, right? So again, like I said, none of this is new. You would have seen failure is part of initial steps of success. You have to be, unless you give up, there is no failure, right? You can say failure when you say, okay, I'm done, I've tried enough, it doesn't work. Unless that happens, everybody will tell you they've failed in life and they've learned through it, right? So you have to also be cognizant of the fact that there is a journey that is involved as a leader. With lot of power comes lot of responsibility, and that's what makes it make you a hero, or make one a hero. Okay, I'm stopping here. The main content is over. I just wanted maybe 5 minutes later on what we have learned through all these things and how we are taking care of this in Rashtam. But before that, I just want to open the floor for questions and reflections.
Guys, you all can unmute yourself and ask any questions that you have to Nirmala ma'am.
No questions?
Guys, don't feel shy कि हम लोग कोई judge करेंगे आपको.
हाँ.
It can be any random question that you want to ask Nirmala ma'am about leadership, or how you think that you can improve your leadership.
Yeah, it can be general reflections on the session as well. what did you learn? Like I said, the learning outcomes that I was expecting, not that, I go back, becoming a great leader. It's just that, is there anything for you to reflect on? Is there something that you feel you've learned a couple of concepts new, be it Ikigai, be it VUCA world, be it the challenges, of 21st century, anything that you feel gives you something to think about, reflect on?
Omkar is there, Akash, Omkar, Abhinav, Bhumika.
Yeah, like I said, 1.5 hours is my limit to keep people active.
Yes.
People have already started scrolling their screens and start looking at other things.
Okay.
Okay.
Even Dharmesh Uncle is there. Dharmesh Uncle, would you like to add up something?
Yeah, Dharmesh and I did my first internship together way back
So,
in 88, Dharmesh?
just to let everyone know, Dharmesh sir is the one who introduced us to Nirmala ma'am and brought us and asked us to do a session on this. So thank you so much, Dharmesh sir.
So now you
You're
know who
welcome,
to
guys.
blame, huh? Now you know who to
Hello.
blame.
Vinay has a question.
Vinay, go ahead.
Yes, with the permission of the chair,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
greetings everyone. Ma'am, I wanted to ask many times when we are the leader, we make certain decisions which might not be acceptable by the team. But according to our views and things, we think it's right. So what and how exactly we should be there? And means suppose I've taken a decision for the team, and I think it's good for the team. We always have a fear that I should speak to the team or not, because it might backfire for us. And due to that fear, we often don't speak, or either we speak it in some other way. So what we should do in that situation?
Yeah. So see, when you say team, right, you're representing their interests. So it starts with trust. If you look at any leadership material now, in 80s and 90s, most of the leadership material was about charisma, about orate, your public speaking skills, about aggression, about getting things done. If you see, most of the leadership material will talk about trust. Simon Sinek is someone who talks a lot on leadership. Uh, it's all about trust. So the first good example of a good leader is that team trusts you, that you will always keep team's interest ahead of your own interest. So that is the first step. Then second is obviously
Okay.
transparency and communication, that you have to talk about why have you arrived at a certain conclusion, because you felt, then what are the thought process has gone into, and then you have to obviously understand other people's concerns and listen to that, and but I think trust will make a lot of difference, because they would know that you're doing it for the betterment of the team's interest.
Can I add something here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I just go further with his question. Basically, I think that he wants to know whether he is able to take a decision or not. I mean, should he take a decision or not? Should he give his decision or not? And that I feel is like a toss of a coin. You have to take a risk if you want to make progress. You have to take a decision, no matter what the outcome. A good leader is prepared to face the outcome. The decisions have to be taken. Okay. So if you are worrying about the team, you are worried that your decision may or may not be accepted by the team, you can voice it out, you can talk to them, but you have to take a decision if you need progress. And a good leader is prepared for the outcome, whether it is good or bad. He has to be prepared for the outcome. Is that clear? Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Dhamesh sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are
Ma'am,
two there are
go
two
ahead,
questions
Umar.
in the chat box. One is from Leo Faisal, District President 315. His question is, how can we remove our fear?
Yeah, good question. So where does the fear come from? You have to go to the bottom of that. Is the fear coming from the environment? Is
Lack of
because
confidence.
uh, see, confidence again is a function of conviction, right? I mean, like I said, I talked about what you think, what you feel, what you want. So it's the fear comes from a lot of times, as I said, the media right now, right? They get their TRPs by creating fear. That's what they are meant to do, and that's what they will do. It is your prerogative and it's your decision how much of that you want to consume. because your mind, like we say, healthy diet is needed for healthy physical health, right? Same thing for mind's health. If you keep consuming what I call fast food of mind, which is just all crap, a lot of times, just people want to just increase their TRPs and want to create drama. That's what, that's how it works. Because when you have so much information, the fight is for attention. And how do you get attention? Do you think you will read a news where say something is going fantastically well here? Would anybody read that news? You have to create drama, right? I mean, I have seen some of the interviews that were done for some of these public speakers we talk. They will present it in a, like Radharao Billari was asked, weren't you angry that your son died? And how many people are saying, oh, he's doing something which is inspirational. Let's focus on that act. It's a good thing, just right? How many of us are ready to consume good news? If you keep eating fast food, you are bound to fall sick, right? So watch your thoughts, what you consume, what is being fed to you. Are you deciding your day? Like I said, first thing in the morning, the steam quick guy I talked about, right? He talks a lot about the first hour in the morning. There's a alpha state and the beta state, and there's a creativity state. So a lot of your best ideas will come in your unconscious mind. So a lot of times he says, actually first hour, I just remember my dreams, because a lot of the clues are coming from the dream. And then before I touch my phone, I decide what are the 3 things I want to do today, right? If you start taking control of your life, and if you start getting success, automatically fear will go. The fear will comes from the helplessness. Somebody else, something is happening around me, I have no control. If I say I decide my day, I want to read these 2 books this month, and I read it will automatically give you that sense of control. I want to learn about this particular fact more, and I do that, right? If you don't do it, then that's where the helplessness comes from, and that's where the fear comes from. Does that little bit answer your questions?
Okay.
Yeah.
There is another question by
Ma'am,
Akash.
Yeah.
What's the abyss that stage in one's life? Ma'am, can you speak about it a little more?
Yeah, so it's basically the lowest phase of the leadership journey, where you feel so low, so hopeless, that you feel it's end of the world. It's end. There's nothing else is possible, right? It's the lowest. So it's almost death, before you transform. So that is something which will happen in most of the journey, where you are trying to target something which is generally considered impossible. Most of the times you'll say, oh, this is impossible. This is supernatural. This guy's gone crazy. I mean, that's what happened to Padman and all the people that they're doing, right? So how do you keep faith, and how do you keep conviction when you feel it's useless? I mean, most of the superhero stories you see, Batman, Avengers, everywhere there will be that death phase, and this is basically a framework used for all superhero stories, the hero's journey. I mean, you can read through it. It's always the lowest part, and then you transform. So you become a different person, you become a better person, you improve your skills, become, have a better view of the world, and that's what takes you the next phase, ready to take the next challenge. So it is the lowest period of the any hero's journey. Okay, any
Okay.
other questions?
Um, I would like to ask Sudarshan Nair sir to add up something with in this point. Sudarshan sir.
I guess he is freezed. It's there. Ma'am, there is a question from Omkar also. How to
Okay,
remain focused in difficult situations?
okay. See, distraction, focus is what? Lack of distraction, right? Where does the distraction comes from? It's kind of a similar thing. I will repeat it. Distraction comes from, like, you guys are living in a very difficult world. I mean, that's what I always keep tell my daughter, that her life is far more difficult than mine. So distractions are there. It's all the time there, and the focus will come from the conviction. I trust and I believe, and I strongly believe that what I'm chasing is really good and it's worth chasing. And then I ensure that I spend time with myself. Like I said, how many times in a day you spend time on reflecting that how was my day, what are the times when I lost my cool, or I use bad words, or I was not really my best. So all of that happens when you spend less, more time inward, less time outward. and that will give you that conviction. And obviously you need an ecosystem. So the whole hero journey is about allies, right? There should be allies who trust in you and maybe support you. And there will be times when you may not have anybody, right? And for that matter, so that is where your self belief and the full conviction that what I'm trying to do is right. Obviously, there are different ways of inspiring. Personally, if I have to share my story, I always look at inspirational examples and I find exactly similar message everywhere. There are low times, there are naysayers, there are people who say this doesn't make sense, you're crazy. Everybody has passed through that phase. So for someone who has really kept at it, saying that okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what will make me happy, as someone who has prevailed. So yeah, there can be different solutions for everyone. I read books, I look at inspirational videos of people who have done good work. I'm out of Facebook very recently. 6 years back, I actually stopped being active, but I've now actually deleted my account. I'm not on any other social media channels. I'm still spending a lot of time on WhatsApp, which I'm trying to reduce. I've exited quite a few groups now. And as I said, I try to read more. Meditation is something which I've still not mastered. I'm trying to do something. I did my Vipassana course last year, which helped me a lot to really monitoring your thoughts. I mean, you have no clue. It's like Adi Shankaracharya says, your mind is a monkey, and it's not a monkey. It's a monkey which is drunken monkey, which is bitten by a scorpion. So I actually noticed that in my Vipassana meditation, that the number of crazy things your mind does, it's just amazing. So you need to watch your thoughts, and that's where you'll find most of your answers. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more
Thank you,
question
ma'am.
by Akash. When do we realize what we are facing is the lowest phase? In the lowest phase.
Okay. You want to measure your level of, yeah, it's typically, you will know it, it's your instinct. And see, there is nothing like lowest, right? I mean, you can stay in that phase for a long time, short time, you can keep going up and down. I mean, there's no specific recipe for it, but it's something that you have to really push yourself to go ahead. It just doesn't make sense, and you have to really keep pushing yourself that, oh, I don't want to do it, or this is just too hard, it's not for me, I'm going to give up. There are thoughts of giving up will come very frequently, and you still keep going. So that's the indication that you are maybe in your low stage. Any other but there's a lot of help available. That is a lot of material, as I said. In fact, recently I read what do we learn from each of the Avenger heroes, right? And if you take Thor as example, he's supposed to be a god, right? The strongest Avenger, as he
Avenger,
calls
yeah.
himself. He went through a very big depression, right? I mean, he put on weight and just became shabby and all of that, right? So even gods can go through depression, right? Who are we? We are mere mortals. So that I think there will be a lot of inspiration that everybody, like they say, every saint had a past and every criminal has a future, right? So there will be difficult times, every difficult things, and you have to keep going. Okay, if there are no other questions, I just want to stop with the last slide. I mean, I don't want to spend any much time on Rashtram, but maybe just what we are trying to do here. I have already spoken about last 5 years. We have done multiple programs, have built youth leadership, many of our things. So we are again focusing on Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. So 3 pillars, which we believe are very important. So to solve any problem, you need knowledge. To be able to change, what you have decided, you need will. So Ichha Shakti. So that's where political this thing, and then there is action. So that's what we are trying to do here. And our inspiration is Chanakya. We say nations are built by leaders who master their senses. So a lot of focus on self-development, a lot of focus on self-leadership, and that's what we are trying to do here. I just wanted to end with this question. I mean, I think we already asked this. So please believe yourself. There is divinity in all of us. You just need to find it. Everyone is born with amazing, unique strengths. Don't try to be like someone else. Don't try to, go by peer pressure. We are all born to serve our purpose in life. And if we find it, that would be the best day for you. And there is no greater joy than service. So once you know yourself, figure out how to make sense of this environment around you. optimism is another thing that always, keeps us going. So I'm a hopeless optimist. Despite all the challenges, I feel that we as a country has a tremendous potential. We are a youngest country and the oldest civilization, and we have a lot to offer to the world. World is already waking up to the fact that India had all it figured out. I talked about conquering the mind, right? The whole 21st century. We have figured out mind better than anybody else. So they are now making the monks sit, and all the brain scanning is happening on monks in terms of how does brain functions in terms of meditation and so on. So I think we are actually quite well poised to really solve the 21st century challenges. We have excellent family system. We have a lot of festivals to keep our spirits high, and we have very good culture, which actually keeps the positivity around. I mean, most of my European friends, whenever they have come to India, they said, I'm amazed at the positivity and the vibrancy and the diversity that we see. People sleeping on the streets are also smiling, So he says, you guys have figured it out, right? I mean, we have fantastic case studies coming out of Dharavi in the times of COVID, right? So I think we have something which we tend to forget as a community, as a whole, or as a country. And we individually as individuals that we have unlimited potential. So I would like to end on that note. It was wonderful talking to all of you, and it was wonderful. I'm glad we have stopped on exactly on time. And I hope we could meet our learning objectives. So I hope you guys go back with some things to ponder upon, something to reflect on. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. My email ID is nirmala@rashtam.org. Please do visit our website if you want to know more about Rashtam. Thank you. Over to Umang.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will um, I would like to call Dharmesh Uncle. He wanted to add up something. Dharmesh Uncle.
Yeah. So I see that it was a very good session, Nirmala. You tailored this presentation to suit this audience bracket, age bracket.
Yeah.
And I hope that all my young Leo leaders have taken some good learnings from today's sessions. And I wish everybody all the best. Personally, Umang, I like the promotional poster you made. Nirmala, I hope you also like that poster.
Yes, it was wonderful.
The credit goes to
You
the
made me look like a
TROs.
god woman. So that's what
So,
Dharmesh's comment was.
our
Our
entire
PROs,
PR work is
PRO
being
team.
handled by
Yeah.
Leo Tanmay Munde. He
Yeah.
makes all the creatives.
Yeah, you guys are really good with what this kind of posting on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I see that it see this is what the young generation needs to look at also today, but in a controlled manner, like Nirmala said. Try to get rid of your obsession with social media.
Yeah.
That's going to help you guys a lot.
True.
Our country is strong on introspection and self-healing by the means of meditation and self-leadership. If you guys can master, you can learn any other skill in life. All other skills will become very easy if you are able to learn self-leadership. This is something you guys should think about. Yeah, that is the future, because your life is getting more and more complex than what we were seeing it. So you guys need to really calm your mind, calm your senses, see, decide, learn these things properly, and carve out your future. All the best, guys. Good session. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it. Great.
Thank you
Great,
very much. It
Nirmala.
was lovely to interact with all of you. It's always gives me a lot of energy to interact with young people. So thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
a
you.
nice Sunday morning.
Lan Sudarshan Nair sir, would you like to say something, sir?
No, I have heard all of them, and I feel what Dharmesh said is very nice. Look within, don't look outside.
True.
And my only one liner to all of you: to beat depression, I think Nirmala also will agree with me. Go on to the play field. It's the sportsman who never gets depressed, because one day he loses, he strives to win the next day. So those children who do not see the sports field, they get into depression. And thank you for the nice session.
Thank
Very
you very
well.
much.
Congratulations.
Thank
Cyril.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll take this opportunity to thank Nirmala ma'am for taking such a wonderful session for our young Leos. Okay, even I am young, sorry. So for us,
I really liked Viral when you initially said you're nervous. It's very, very important to be vulnerable as a leader and be comfortable with that feeling. So it's really appreciate
Yeah.
that. So nice.
Yeah. So thank you, Nirmala ma'am. Thank you, Dharmesh sir. Thank you, Sudarshan Nair sir. We had lions from other districts also, which were a part. Also, Leos from other districts, and all the presidents of all the members of my district and other neighboring districts. Thank you so much for attending this session in the early morning of a Sunday. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you so much
Everyone.
for
So
attending, everyone.
this entire session will be put up on the YouTube. If your family, relatives, friends, anyone wants to watch it, they can go ahead and watch it. By tomorrow evening, it will be up on YouTube.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Viral.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Viral.
Kumar.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
Nirmala
Thank you,
ma'am.
Dharmesh.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you,
Bye,
Sudarshan
Thank
ma'am.
Nirmala.
you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.